What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be going over strafing. We've got a lot of questions from new users, old users, people that have played in sim leagues before, people that have never played in sim leagues before. They want to know exactly what strafing is, how do we implement our strafe rule here in BFL, and I believe this video is going to touch on many things. We're not going to get too deep into like match coverages such as cover 4. Those deserve their own video, but I do believe this video is going to help users pick their plays on defense, just play defense better in general, because we're going to be touching on different zone assignments, like, vert hooks do things differently than a regular hook curl. You've got 3 rec, you got mid read, you got Tampa 2, you've got cover 3 match. We're going to be touching on quite a few things in this video, more than just simply strafing. So as far as how we apply the strafe rule here in BFL, some leagues they might not let you run with routes in front of you. Here we do. They might not let you, follow a crossing route with like a mid read or a 3 rec hook, and here we do. So I encourage all users that join BFL, or if you're already in BFL, to watch this video. So first off, what is strafing? That's what we're going to get into first. So let's go ahead and come out in a play. Very simple play. I'm just going to come out and let's do slot drive. Where's slot drive? Slot drive, and we're going to come out in basic cover 3 sky. Alright. So pretty much, first off, what is strafing? Hold the left trigger, or L2 if you're on PlayStation, but left trigger. And this is going to keep your player parallel to the line of scrimmage. I can move my player back, left, right, forward, and he's not going to turn around. He's going to stay parallel to the line of scrimmage. Okay? So that's what strafing is. That's the basis of what strafing is. So first we're just going to, like I said, I'm going to show you guys the basics of what the strafe rule is for here. Now this is basic cover 3. We're going after a play that has, a dig or an in route behind us, but also a drag coming across our face. I'll show you guys hook curl. You can run with the drag routes. We allow that. We allowed you to run with anything in front of you. If your player can see it, with his eyes, his actual eyes like it's real life, we allow you to run with it. So let's get into it. Just basic play. So I can run with the drag. A few options. I can run with the drag. I can back up here, go after the dig or the in route. But yeah, plenty of options. Let's run down on Kamara. So yeah, as this middle defender, you're gonna hook curl. There's plenty of options of what you can do. Again, this is basic cover 3. Like, this is curl flat. There's no seam flats. These aren't vert hooks. This is just basic country cover 3. You'll very rarely ever see me call this in a Madden game. I don't really do the basic coverages, but some people do. So what we're gonna get into next is we're gonna go, cover 3 buzz. Another thing to touch on is a lot of people want to do these weird things to disguise their defenses. So I guess in coaching adjustments here, you can you can change your safety depth to where they're all the way 16 yards off the line of scrimmage. You can make them even deeper, 25 yards off the line of scrimmage. Prevent, whatever. Some people do tight to where they're only 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. They're playing like a linebacker. Some people do close, where they're only 8 yards. Still not, So in BFL, we have a rule to where at least one of your safeties has got to be 10 yards back from the line of scrimmage, unless you're running a cover 0 blitz. Because these here, right here, these just create unsim looks. Like these aren't realistic looks. Now, if you wanted to do prevent, you just come out and prevent defense. If you wanted to do tight, these are just super unrealistic. So, and then width also. Some people have their safeties automatically spread to like the numbers. Wide, pinch to where they'll be, middle field close. Like, these just create the most unrealistic looks from defense. So we don't even allow those. The only one we allow is safety midpoint. We do allow that. You can have your safety line to the strong side, the weak side, field, boundary, that we allow. But these two, we do not allow those. But okay, let's get into cover 3 buzz. So for cover 3 buzz, like I said, there's plenty of ways to disguise your defense. You know, right now we're coming out of 3-3-5. Now, obviously, I probably would rather not have Cam Jordan drop back in coverage, but you know, you could change him to a hard flat, so he's not actually going too deep back in coverage, or you can do a formation sub to where it's not Cam Jordan here and it's actually maybe an off-ball linebacker. Now, as a safety, you have more options because a buzzing safety, you're coming back from more of a death spot. So, like I said, as a hook curl linebacker, you can't run with this in route from Shaheed on the left. You can't run with that out route from Taysom Hill. As a safety with more depth, you can, because you know you're playing with more depth starting off. Now it's still a hook curl, yes, but let's see. Let's just get into it. Yeah, you're coming from a more depth position, so you're already further back than what a linebacker would be. So you in these plays like this, you have the option to run with deeper routes. All right, so there's the dig. You know, you've got the drag coming across. You've got the run back. You can run with anything in front of you, like I've explained. You can run with, like I said, the drag. You have that option, run with the drag. Or you could just play it safe. Strafe, you don't have to run with anything either. I mean, these guys strafe pretty fast also. Like, strafe, you got good speed strafing, he's a safety. You can run down with things in front of you. So let's do it one more time. Chase the drag, drag's gonna be wide open. Alright, next play. Still gonna come out and cover 3 buzz, just wanna show a few more things. So, again, as a buzzing safety, you've got more options to run with. You can run with things that are deeper at depth, so a route that's deeper at depth. So for instance, this route from Olave, you can run with it. As a linebacker, not so much. You can strafe with it as a linebacker, but you can't like turn from the quarterback and run with it. So Olave also, again, either as the linebacker or the safety here, you can run with Taysom Hill here. He's running a drag route. You can run with either of those because they're in front of you regardless. So let's get into that. Alright, so we're going to bail. We're going to come here towards Taysom. It's one option. It's one option. Again, this might help you guys pick defenses, pick plays on defense. Because a lot of people might not know what cover 3 buzz even is. So you might not ever call it. Again, and so the thing about cover 3 buzz, you have a too high look here. Too high safety look. That could be cover 2. That could be cover 4. Because, I mean, these corners are playing pretty far back also. Now, you know, a good veteran Madden user, they're probably going to be like, okay, one of these safeties is dropping down. But it's still, you don't have to do these weird, tricky things with coaching adjustments to make your safeties do certain stuff. Like, a lot of plays have built-in coverages to them. They might be basic disguises, but they're still somewhat of a disguise. So again, alright, so we can run down with Taysom. We can run with this in route here. So again, let's give the quarterback a little bit more time. So you can act like you run with that, and then you can run with this. As a safety coming from depth, you've got more options than a linebacker. That's one of the benefits of cover 3 buzz. Alright, let's get into the next play. Alright, so another thing we're going to touch on are eligible moves. So in BFL, not only are you allowed to cover, obviously, your main assignment here, but you can also help cover neighboring zones, which we consider eligible moves. So, for instance, the curl flats, any flat of the curl flat, flat zone, cloud flat, these are considered neighboring zones. So, for instance, if this was cover 2, it'd be a hook curl here, and then the corner, the outside corner, would be in some sort of a flat, unless it was cover 2 invert. But alright, next we're going to get into seam flats, cover 3 match. And this is going to show what seam flats do. Again, this video is not only going to be about strafing, it's going to be showing exactly what different zone assignments do. Because a lot of these zone assignments have matching principles, and a lot of people don't know this, especially new users to BFL, new users to sim leagues in general. They might not know exactly what these zone assignments do. So I'm just going to give the basic, the basic of what these zone assignments do. I'm not going to go too deep. Like I said, cover 4 or quarters, whether it be quarters right here on the right or palms right here on the right, those deserve their own videos. Cover 6, cover 9, those deserve their own videos. Now, I am still going to go over those plays, but I'm just not going to get into detail about each assignment of each player. It's like I said, they need their own video. But alright, so we're going to get into cover 3 match. I'm going to talk about seam flats. I'm going to do some hot routes on here just because I really want to show what the seam flats do. So let's make him streak. We're going to make the running back curl. Alright, so we're pretty much just running, seam outs. Is essentially what this play is. But alright, so seam flat. So essentially what the seam flat is any route that threatens the seams. Really any route that goes vertical, because these could go up, threaten the seams, but they can also go right out and they'll still match them. Matching them meaning they're going to man up on these players. Now this is a flat. So if this was basic country cover 3, just cover 3 sky, these guys, it wouldn't be seam flat, it'd just be curl flat. And instead of running and matching with these, these slot seam receivers, they instead would just play their zone over here, and they'd essentially just let them run by. Well, seam flats, instead, anything that threatens the seam vertically, they're going to match with that player. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So let's just get into it right here. Let them go. Notice they turn around, they turn their hips, and they're following those receivers. This isn't cover 3 sky, this isn't cover 3 hard flat. They're not just, dropping back, into a spot drop coverage. No, they're matching these receivers. So let's do these high routes again. I'm going to show you guys one more time. Alright, same play. Just let you guys watch them this time. This time I'm going to bring this safety here, just for the sake of you guys watching. Notice again, they turn their hips, they follow these guys. Now let's do it without the hot routes, because this time, Taysom, he's running a drag route, so you're gonna see how it plays that. So he kind of just backs, he goes back. Okay, but if you notice, Alontae Taylor here, he still runs with his man. He still runs with Olave because his route is still a straight route. His route is still threatening the seam. So, again, let's get into it one more time. Yes, Alontae Taylor is going to turn his hips and run with that receiver. That's what a seam flat is. Alright, let's get into the next play. Alright, so now we're going to get into this play. Cover 3 buzz Mabel. We've already went over cover 3 match, which is the seam flats. We've already been over cover 3 buzz. Well, this play is the best of both of them. You're going to have a buzzing safety, but you're also going to be running seam flats. Now, one of the downsides of this is instead of it being a defensive back in a seam flat that might run with something vertical, it'll be a linebacker. But, on the opposite side, one of the benefits is instead of it being a linebacker in a hook curl, it's a safety buzzing down. Now, like we went over before, safeties that are coming down the hook curls, they can cover things more at depth because they're already starting from a more depth position. They're further back than a linebacker is. So anything like a crosser, anything in route, a dig route, they can run with. We're running slot outs from the offense. So as you can see, now let's stack it up against the defense here. Alright, so defense, offense, both of them. Kind of see. Now again, with these seam flats, they should still match on these receivers, these inside receivers like Olave and Taysom Hill. They should still match them because they're still threatening the seams. They're going forward for about 10 yards actually. So let's get into that. Right here. Yep, and they still match on them. And here, you can run with Kamara here. He's running that Texas route, that angle route. Can take that away. He's got nothing open. So now I will say these funny enough, these mirrored concepts, which I rarely ever run a mirrored concept because if one side's not open, the odds are the other side isn't open. That's another tip. If you're on offense and you run a mirrored concept like this to where one side is the same, the other side is the same, the only difference is what Kamara is doing is this angle route. If one side's not open, the other side's obviously not open either. So yeah, I just don't run mirrored concepts like this. But we're going to do this just, for the sake of showing you guys exactly this play. So like I said, this play is the best of both. So we've been over cover 3 buzz. We've been over cover 3 seams. Or cover 3 match, which is the seam flats. So again, this, everything, this is a play. Here's a tip. If someone comes out in this play, if someone runs this play, here's a play that will completely lock it down. As long as you use the right person and take away Kamara, not a single thing open. Let's call something else though. Let's hot route this to, I don't know. Let's do this, and let's make Kamara just do a wheel, I don't know. Or a flat, that's fine. So let's just have some fun with it. Alright, yep, you can run down on the, right here. Alright, same thing. Let's do this again. Show you guys again. Alright, this is the play. This is my play. Here it is together. Show me what's open. If you user this guy, you can run down on Taysom. Odds are he's going to throw to Taysom. Alright, next, here we're going to get into Tampa 2. Now, a lot of people do not know what Tampa 2 defense is, but we're going to fix that. Alright, so we're going to call Tampa 2, and we're going to call slot 2 Buck out of gun wild trips nasty on the offense. Now, I'd say this is the perfect play to show what Tampa 2 really is supposed to be, how it's supposed to be played. But essentially, Tampa 2 is this safety here in the mid-read, or I mean this linebacker here in the mid-read. He's able to drop back, and bail as a deep third. Because that's the weakness of cover 2. You know, the weakness of cover 2 is you have 2 outside safeties, you got middle field open. Well, Tampa 2 takes that away. In previous Maddens, in any cover 2, these guys would have been in Vert Hooks. I'm not sure which Madden they changed that in. It might have been Madden, 25. I'm not sure. We're in Madden 26 here. So now you've got, like I said, we're in Tampa 2. So you might want to have a fast linebacker here if you're going to call Tampa 2. But regardless, they can drop back and cover. So let's get into it. Slot 2 Buck. Like I said, middle field open. So this post route from Shaheed would be open normally. But let's show you how it plays. Let's give the quarterback a little bit of time just so you guys can see it. Let's go. So you can start off strafing. You can bail. You can run with whatever. It doesn't matter. Run with whatever. Nothing is open. Nothing is open. Alright. Let's do it again one more time. Let's make him do a wheel route or something. Who knows? Let's just, again, have fun with it. Alright, give the quarterback a little bit more time. Just run it again. Alright, you can start off strafing. Boom. That's still probably open. A good quarterback can still make that throw. But that's the thing. Also, you can just immediately bail. You don't have to strafe with this. You can immediately bail. Now, this is another thing. Let's change this to, let's say, I don't know, let's make him do an in route, let's say. And let's smart route it. So this other thing, you don't have to always go fully all the way back here. If there's nothing threatening the zone, then there's no reason to, go that far. Actually, let's make him do a crosser. Can I do a crosser? Let's do a deep cross. Alright, let's make him do a crosser. Now, this is the thing about mid-read and 3-rec. We'll get into 3-recs after this. But we treat them the same here. So a mid-read route. We allow, if you're in a mid-read, we allow you to chase crossing routes. If you're a linebacker, safety, doesn't matter. We allow you to chase or run with crossing routes. So yes, it's Tampa 2. So this guy, Tampa 2, you're supposed to be playing a middle third. But again, if nothing's really threatening that, then there's no point to run all the way back there and bail. So again, here's what we allow for mid-reads. Mid-reads and 3-rec hooks as a linebacker. We allow you to run with crossing routes. Now obviously this is easy because I already know it's coming. Like I've already prepared this play. But we allow you to run with that. But let's do this play. Original play one more time. Bail. Run with it. Alright, so next we're going to get into quarters defense. We're going to cover 3-rec and mid-read like I kind of just went over with Tampa 2. So first we're just going to do cover 6 first. So quarters defense is, cover 6 is quarter, half. And then you've got cover 9, which is, essentially the opposite. It's like, where's cover 9? I know I have it in here. It might not be in this formation, but essentially cover 9 is cover 6 flips. It's going to be half, quarter. But they pretty much the same thing. Then you have cover 4 palms, which is also a quarters, match coverage defense. And then you've got cover 4 quarters, which is also quarters defense. It's a cover, a match defense. Now, this is the thing. I guess a lot of people that don't know about match defenses, they think cover 4 quarters or palms is like spot drop defense. That's not spot drop defense. If you look in the bottom left corner of the play art, it says match. Because these have matching principles. Same as cover 3 match over here, same as cover 3 Mabel. So, and then I'll show you cover 4 drop on the left here. That is spot drop defense. There's a big difference between cover 4 drop and cover 4 quarters, cover 4 palms, cover 6, and cover 9. But okay, first we're going to get into cover 6. Cover 6, we're going to run double cross out of gun off trips nasty. So the reason I say we allow, if you're in a 3-rec or a mid-read, to run with a crosser, even if you're a linebacker, is for one, you know, crossers, at least in previous Maddens, they were almost unstoppable. Like they'd always get perfectly behind the corners, in front of the safeties. Like they were almost unstoppable. It was almost essentially as like throwing a slant across the field, which we don't allow in BFL. We do not allow you to throw slants across the field, but a crosser was essentially the legal way of throwing a slant across the field. It was just always open. Now again, this is previous Maddens. I believe it's not as bad this Madden. But again, why we let you guys run with crossers with a 3-rec or a mid-read? Here's why. For one, that's what the defender's going to do naturally himself anyway. So let's snap the ball. Look at Pete Warner. He's turning his hips and he's running with that crosser. Now, obviously, as a user, you can do that better, especially if you see it coming. But I'll show you guys one more time. The crosser coming from Rashid Shaheed, the slot receiver. He's running a shallow. Well, no, he's running a crosser. It's not shallow. He's running a crosser. And then him, you know, Demario Davis, he's in a vert hook. Again, we're going to touch on that later, what vert hooks exactly are. But okay. So I'm going to show you guys again. This is not me using him. This is what Pete Warner does. This is what a 3-rec hook does. See, his zone is, his ratings aren't that good, but he runs with a crosser eventually. The first time he ran with it, you know, a lot better. But okay, as a user, if you can see a crosser coming, you can turn your hips and you can run with it. Now, obviously, it's cover 6, so this play has matching principles anyway, which is why you also see Alontae Taylor running with him. You know, again, so again, cover 6, quarter, quarter, and then half. This guy's playing half field safety. These guys are in quarters. Kind of the same principles as cover 4 quarters has. But again, those deserve their own videos. I'm not really going to touch on those. But okay. Like I said, where it's match coverage principles, you're also going to see Alontae Taylor run with this guy. If it's not Alontae Taylor, it might be Sanker, but regardless, more than just one guy runs with him. But okay. 3-rec hook. Okay, so it's Sanker, not Alontae Taylor. But yeah, they're running with him. Again, it has matching principles. Cover 6 has matching principles. But really, I just wanted to touch on 3-rec hook. So obviously, as a 3-rec hook, you don't only have to run with, you know, crossers and, you know, anything like that. You can also just treat it like a regular hook. You can run down on stuff in front of you. Like right here I am on Kamara. Shutting Kamara down. Alright, right there. Let's give the quarterback more time. Alright, Kamara, he's close. Taysom here, I can run down on him too. I can run down on Taysom because he's in front of me. Like I said before, anything in front of you, you're allowed to run with. Alright, let's do it again. Taysom, you shut down. Or I mean Kamara, you shut down. Taysom was blocking. He got off the block and release. You can chase down on him. Alright, so now we're coming out in cover 4 quarters. Like I said, this is a very match-heavy play. So if you don't really know what the assignments are, which again, I'm not really going to get into that because these deserve their own video, but I'm just going to say the safest thing to do if you call cover 4 quarters is you either just use the 3-rec hook or you use your D lineman. Like that, if you don't know what the principles are, if a receiver is running an out or he's running an in, if he's running a vertical route, all these all have their own assignments, which is why even in real life you see coaches that run quarters defense heavily, for instance, like Brandon Staley, or I mean, there's plenty. It's actually a pretty popular defense now, but you know, even players in real life get super confused. So again, the safest thing to do if you're going to run quarters defense, cover 4 quarters, cover 4 palms, cover 6, is just use one of the yellows, or just play D lineman. If you don't know what the principles are of the matching. Now, if you do know, then obviously I don't even have to tell you. You know what you're doing. You probably don't even need this video. I'm just going to show you guys how this play goes naturally by itself. Not really going to do too much. Alright, notice Demario. Notice what Demario's doing. He just shut off 2 routes right there. Now, obviously, the quarterback would be sacked by now. Would have been sacked by now. But look at how Demario plays this 3-rec. He shuts down the crosser from Taysom. He also shuts down Cooks on this in route. So again, let's just give the quarterback a little bit more time. He starts chasing Taysom. He follows back. He follows, gets in front of the in route from Cooks. Now let's do it ourselves. It's a 3-rec. You can follow chaser. You can follow crossers. On a 3-rec hook, remember, we went over this earlier. 3-rec hook, you can follow crossers. It's a shallow crosser, but you can still do it. And then you can stop, you can strafe, and pull out someone in front of you. Because again, anything in front of you, you can run with. So that's what you guys notice. Like, look, just pay attention to the coverage. Just pay attention to the coverage and what they do. Okay? You see how they follow and they switching off? So specifically look at Alontae Taylor over here. He's going to start off, you know, shut down Shaheed, and then he's going to eventually, once Kamara runs out of the backfield, he's going to switch off and start covering Kamara. Alright, Taylor switches off, goes to Kamara. This is what the coverage, like, a lot of people, again, they run basic coverages. I'm here to help you guys not only understand what strafing is, what each of these defensive assignments are, but also to help you guys play defense. Because obviously, if you watch any of my games, I'm good at defense. I'm terrible at offense. I'm not the best decision maker. It also doesn't help that in our league, my quarterbacks are Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. So, but I got what I got. So I'm doing the best of what I got. Alright, so next we're going to get into vert hooks. We slightly touched on it earlier because in cover 6, also cover 9, you have one 3-rec and then the other yellow, the other linebacker is in a vert hook. But, you know, we're going to touch on, you know, vert hooks, how they are pretty much naturally without match coverage. So we're going to come out in nickel blitz too because both of these yellows you see on the screen are going to be vert hooks. And if you got a safety or, a defensive back coming off the edge out of the slot blitzing. Then we're going to call pivot inseams out of gun doubles off close weak on the offense because I want to show you guys exactly how vert hooks are supposed to be used. So let's get into that. Pivot inseams. Alright, so again, you got the safety blitzing out of here. Another thing is these are soft squats, just something to slightly touch on. Soft squats do not play the same. These slightly have match covering principles also. Alright, so like I said, you've got vert hooks here. This is cover 2. And then, so vert hooks. 2 linebackers, vert hooks. Blitzing defensive back coming off the edge, out of the slot. Let's look at the play on offense. Obviously, this isn't the best play because, you know, everything's not really aligned well. So you've got a seam coming from Shaheed and your linebacker's all the way over here that's supposed to be covering that in a vert hook. Then you've got Taysom going out, you know, on a streak too, and your linebacker that's supposed to be covering him is playing on the line. So it's not exactly the best, but it's the best to show exactly how vert hooks are supposed to be played. Now, like I said before in previous Maddens, cover 2, aside from the mid-read, the other 2 linebackers are used to always being vert hooks. That changed, so now vert hooks actually aren't as common to see. But we'll see. I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys how it plays naturally first. Now, if you look, you saw, which is funny, tomorrow actually locked him down. He locked down Shaheed. But if you look, Demario turned his hips and ran with Shaheed because he's in a vert hook. Pete Werner turned his hips and ran with Taysom because he's in a vert hook. Vert hook, anything that threatens you vertically, you can match with. So I'm gonna show you guys one more time. Turn his hips, they both run with it. Now the thing is, Shaheed, or whatever, Rashid Shaheed, is on this. He's on this, this option route. So essentially, this option route is, if it was middle field close, meaning 1 high safety, odds are he would run a streak. But where it's middle field open, two high safety, and it's actually cover 2, it's actually cover 2. He turns this streak into a post route. That's what this option is here. And luckily enough, Demario Davis has good enough ratings to be able to run with that and still stop it. Because if it was, I don't know, let's say Pete Werner was over there on that side instead, he probably wouldn't have enough awareness or good enough ratings to run with something like that. Okay, so again, the importance of having good linebackers is pretty important. Obviously, as a user, you could probably make a throw that could still beat this, but yeah. Alright, so let's run it one more time. I'm gonna show you guys one more time. Turn their hips, they run with these routes. Okay, let's make an adjustment to it though. So let's make Taysom an out, but we're gonna make him a deep out. So let's smart route him to a deep out, and let's see how Pete Warner plays it then. Notice, Pete Warner still matches on Taysom. So a lot of people see vert hook and think, oh, it's only if they run vertical that I can match with them. No, it's kind of the same as seam flats. Seam flats, if it goes vertical, but then let's say the receiver bounces out, you know, he runs an out route, you still can match with them the whole way because they threatened your route, they threatened your assignment, they threatened your seam. So if they threaten your seam, you're allowed to run with them. They threaten this vert hook, they threaten your zone, you can run with him. Once he threatens you vertically, you can do anything with it, you know. Now if Taysom were to run a drag route instead, you can still run with him because, like I said, with linebackers you can run with anything in front of you, but it wouldn't be match coverage run with him. Okay, so again, let's make Taysom do another deep out, 10-yard out, well, more like 12, 13-yard out. But again, we're gonna run it. I'll show you guys. Pete Warner still matches it because he threatened his assignment vertically. He's in a vert hook. Taysom's route is threatening him vertically. He can run with it. So a lot of users, they might think that since Taysom is actually bouncing, or he's running an out route versus just a straight vertical route, that they can't run with it anymore because they're in a vert hook. But again, so I'm going to show you what a lot of users might do in this situation. Let's give the quarterback a little bit of time. Alright, so they might run with it vertically, and then they see him bounce out, and they're like, well, I can't run with him because I'm in a vert hook. No, that's not how it works. If you're in a vert hook, and he's threatening you vertically, you then can match with him. No matter where he goes, you're allowed to match with him. Okay? So vert hook, turn your hips, run with him, run with him, run with him. Look at the Mario, chasing Shaheed down, which is a fast slot receiver. I'm surprised he can even run with him, but, you know, that's Madden. Again, okay, I'm going to do it myself this time. Make Taysom on a deep out. Match with him. Run with it. Run with it. Doesn't matter if it's just a straight vertical route because you're in a vert hook, you can match with them. So another thing we're going to touch on, I'm not going to show a video of it or anything, but as far as in BFL, how we handle when quarterbacks break the pocket. So when quarterbacks start scrambling, and they leave the tackle box, whether they leave outside the left tackle, outside the right tackle. Once they get outside of that zone, the tackle box, the pocket, you're allowed to turn around and match any receiver, well, not any receiver, the nearest receiver behind you, or you can turn and match the nearest receiver in front of you. Another option is you can also just mirror the quarterback in case you're worried he's going to scramble. That's another option, you can just mirror him. But when the quarterback breaks outside the pocket, you no longer have to strafe. You can, like I said, you can turn and chase with the nearest receiver behind you. You can chase the nearest receiver in front of you. Another thing is when a quarterback is breaking outside the pocket, you can tap the right stick. You can press the right stick, and the defenders nearest will rush the quarterback. But that means a receiver is probably going to be left open. So one of the last things we're going to touch on before we get into the random play segment, which is when I'll just be calling random plays on the offense, and I'm just going to show you how I strafe and how I would, you know, run with routes and things of that sort. Alright, is screens. So for screens, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what defender you're on. It doesn't matter, you know, your assignment. If you're a user and you're good enough to sniff out a screen, it doesn't matter where you are on the field, you're allowed to run to the screen. So again, let's just call something random. Cover 4 drop. Let's do that. If I'm on this safety here, or even this safety here, you know, and we got a screen coming. If I see the screen early enough, I can bail whatever I'm doing and run straight to that screen. It does not matter. Whether it's a receiver screen, now obviously if it's a bubble screen, that's pretty dangerous to do that. But if it's a wide receiver screen, if it's one of these running back split screens, it does not matter where you're on the field. It doesn't matter who you are, what defender you're using. You can chase down that screen. If you're good enough to sniff it out, you can chase it down. Now, and also that goes with the offense. On offense, you're not allowed to call a screenplay, especially a running back split screen like this. Let's say this, and then throw it to Y. You're not allowed to do that. In BFL, we don't allow that. Either you either have to throw it away, throw it to the intended receiver, which is the running back. You can't call a screenplay. You can't call a screenplay and then try to bail yourself out and throw it to anyone else. We don't allow that. Now again, there's better screenplays. There's other screenplays. There's screenplays with motions built into them. But even let's get into screen pass. Let's get into a wide receiver screen. I mean, again, if you're good enough to sniff this out, then you've got it. Oh, wide receiver screen. You can sniff it out. Don't matter who you're on the field. Now again, this is only if it's a strictly wide receiver screen. We're not talking about option plays that are, bubble screen or inside handoff to the running back. Now we're talking about strictly, wide receiver screens, running back split screens, even tight end screens. Again, if you're good enough to sniff that out as a defender, as a user on defense, you can, anywhere on the field, no matter where you are, you can chase that down. We're going to talk about disguising defenses, because again, these coaching suggestions, we don't allow depth and width. We do allow midpoint, but there's plenty of plays that are already built-in disguises. Kind of like I went over, cover 3 buzz. It's a too high safety look, depending on the formation, because some formations, like 3-by-1 formations, do bring that buzzing safety down. But regardless, a lot of formations, this is a too high safety look, but it's actually cover 3. You've got, which Tampa 2, I wouldn't really say it's disguise, but again, that you would think it's middle field open, but that yellow linebacker there, he can play a deep third. That's actually what he's supposed to do in Tampa 2 defense. Cover 6, not really disguise, but it's coverage, match coverage. But so you've got cover 2 invert. Cover 2 invert, let's get into that. Now, we're not going to run any plays out of this, but we're just showing. So, just call it something 2x2, doesn't even matter. Cover 2 invert. Cover 2 invert has a 1 high safety look. These both, this outside corner here, that's the other cover 2. And this outside corner here, they're playing pretty much the same depth. It's about what, 7 to 8 yards off? 7 to 8 yards off. Now, again, good veteran users on offense can tell, they can beat coverage defenses. They can process very fast post snap, and they can also somehow read these pre-snap. Like, okay, I can tell he's in cover 2 invert. But again, cover 2 invert, this is cover 2, but it's a 1 high safety look. This has a built-in disguise to it. Let's get into some other plays. Alright, another thing with disguise coverages, there's some plays, not as many as there used to be, but there's some plays that have the word show in it. So for instance, out of nickel wide here, we've got cover 9, show 2. So it's going to be cover 9, just call it another random play. It's going to have a cover 2 look to it. Both these outside defenders, 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, slot, 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, 2 high safety. Now really it's quarter, half, or cover 9, which is half, quarter, same thing, But this is a cover 2 look, 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, everyone. Then you got, 2 high safety. But snap the ball, it's not cover 2. It's actually match coverage. So there's plays like that. But then part of it is also just understanding the play names. So you've got overload 3 seam out of nickel 2-4. Now the 3 in this, it just means it's cover 3, like overload 3 seam. And then seam is, for one, it's seam flats, but let's, again, random play, 2x2 play. Go overload 3, it's cover 3, but it's actually a 2 high safety look. Then you've got a seam flat here. Now again, the problem here is Chase Young is also in the seam flat. Usually I like to, whenever it's a D lineman, especially like an edge rusher, I don't like them dropping back with depth. I don't want them dropping back in a curl flat or a seam flat, even though this hurts me sometimes, but I usually would just hot route him to a hard flat. Okay, overload 3 seam. You're in seam flats, so which means if Shaheed runs vertical, he's running with him. And then you've got a defender, the nickel back here, blitzing, even though it's a 2 high safety look. So it's really just understanding, these defenses. So it's about simulated pressures. This is the last thing we're going to touch on before we get into the random play segment. Simulated pressures. So let's sim pressure 3. So simulated pressures are you're still rushing 4. You're only rushing 4, but you're changing the traditional rushers. So for instance, sim pressure 3. Let's look at it. You've got, instead of it being 2 linebackers in a yellow, because it's pretty much cover 3 sky. Instead of 2 linebackers in the yellow, you've got one of the linebackers rushing, and then you've got a edge rusher dropping back into zone. So let's just look at that play. So again, Demario Davis, he's going to be rushing, and then Chase Young is going to be dropping back into coverage, and then Pete Warner is going to be sliding to the left, and that's where his coverage is going to be. Again, I don't really like this because I don't like cover 3 sky. I rarely call curl flats, or cover 3 curl flats. It's just spot drop coverage. That's not how I like to play. But I do like to play where I'm always trying to rush the quarterback, whether with it's a simulated pressure with just 4, or if you watch my streams, I'm constantly rushing 5. Because my philosophy on defense is I only need about 6 zones to cover. If I can't cover with 6 zones, so for instance, let's just play with this. Let's put him in a mid read. Now let's say instead of just curl flats, these are seam flats. And then I've got like a hook here, whether it's a mid read or just a hook curl. I'm rushing 5, 3, 4, 5. Rushing 5 here. So that gives me 5 on 5 if the tight end isn't also blocking. So, that gives me somewhat of an advantage. I feel as though most of the times, even though it bites me a lot of times, I only need 6 zones to fully be able to properly cover the defense. Getting the more simulated coverages. Alright, so nickel sim 2. Then you got field sim 3 here on the left. Again, you're still only rushing 4, but you're changing who's traditionally rushing and who's traditionally dropping in zones. And both these plays, the nickel back is rushing the quarterback. And then you've got the edge defender on the right side of the field. He's going to be dropping back coverage. Now this is an advantage actually because you really can overload the left side, and then you've got the nickel back coming off the left also. So for instance, the right tackle is, hey, Chase Young or whoever's on your right edge. Hey, your right tackle's gonna think he's coming. No, he's not coming. Instead, it's 3 other guys to the left of him. So it kind of just throws offensive lines. It confuses offensive line. That's the point of simulated pressures. Another thing people need to understand is when you're running these plays, is if you hold whatever play, you get to run stunts. Now, I might be giving you guys too much tips here, but these really, really help. These really help. I'm so happy they added them in Madden 26. But, you can change exactly how defenders are rushing. It's not always just as simple as, just 4 guys rushing straight to the quarterback. No, you can switch. You can have them stunt. You can have them do twists. All types of stuff. So let's just look at it really quick. Notice. Just look at the defenders. Just look at the D-line. Look at the D-line and look at what they do. They're not just strictly running at whoever's in front of them. Look at what they do. They're switching. And this particularly works if you're running a zone blitz, in my opinion. If you're running a zone blitz and you can call the right stunt to pair with the zone blitz, you're gold. You might immediately get to the quarterback. And I don't mean immediately as if it's some cheese nano blitz. This is actually true scheming. You're really confusing the offensive line. You're confusing the offensive user. There's real tactic to it, and that's why I'm happy they added it to Madden 26. But alright, now we're going to get into the random play segment.